Hi, I'm Dan, and welcome to the premiere of RSTalks, the Rocscience podcast. Who am I? I'm a software developer for Rocscience that works for the RS2 team. I started my journey at the University of Waterloo, doing my undergrad in civil engineering. I then did my master's at the University of Toronto, with civil and mineral engineering. Now, I did several different roles, and I even got my professional engineering license here in Canada, but I really fell in with this role because it allowed me to do the most diverse and challenging projects in this field. Now, when I'm not working, I'm brewing coffee or tea. And whether it's grinding the coffee beans or whisking the matcha, I find that simple, mindful task really gets my mind off the busy day. And I feel like everyone kind of needs to find that moment in their life. Now, that same passion I have for knowing every single brew step, I take with me when I learn about new developments in our industry. And that's really the essence of what RSTalks is. I'm going to share a drink with industry experts or thought leaders, and we're going to talk about new developments in the industry. Now, we're going to talk about things like career development. We're going to talk about groundbreaking research. We're talking about new innovative engineering solutions. And I really want you guys to join me for that ride. Now, in today's episode, we're going to talk about a very controversial topic, AI development in geotechnical engineering. Now, AI in general has brought out a lot of mixed feelings in our society. In 2014, Stephen Hawking, in a BBC interview, talked about how the full development of an artificial intelligence could spell the end of the human race. Now, in 2017, Jeff Bezos was a bit more optimistic. He talked about this time period as a golden age. He talked about the development of machine learning and artificial intelligence as a possibility for us to solve problems that were once science fiction just several decades ago. The big questions now are, is AI going to take my job? Are AI tools hurting me or helping me? Should I be optimistic about the AI revolution? Now, I'm going to talk to four of my colleagues here at Rocscience, one of which has developed an AI-powered chatbot that's here to answer your geotechnical questions. Now, please join me in welcoming Steve to the show. Welcome, Steve.
Oh, thank you, Daniel.
Not that many people here, but still good. Okay. So I know that you're an AI team lead. Mm-hmm. You've been developing an AI-powered chatbot called RSInsight. I think actually, before I get into that, I know you have a milk allergy.
Yes.
So I made you an oat milk latte. And I really hope that it's better than the coffee you can get at the office. If it's not, I'll make you something else. I'll get on the show. Don't worry about it. The beans are from a local roaster here in Toronto called Velvet Sunrise. Please sponsor us. And yeah, I hope you like it. Please take a taste. Okay. Let me know how it is. Yeah. Right. It's the right sweetness, bitterness, all that stuff. And I made myself an Americano.
It's really good.
Thank you. Yeah.
Daniel.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. So you're an AI team lead for RSInsight, which is a AI-powered chatbot here at Rocscience. Mm-hmm. I think what everyone wants to know right now is just a high-level overview of what that is and what does it do.
Right. So RSInsight is a chatbot that has been fed in with the proprietary information of geotechnical engineering knowledge. So similar to, there are a lot of chatbots out there, and depending on which field you're in, there's Galactica for science, there's Bloomberg GPT for finance. These domain-specific chatbots are trained on domain-specific knowledge. So when we looked at the papers out there and the technology as well, there hasn't been any company from geotechnical side where they've attempted to create a system of a chatbot that has the database that is specifically on geotechnical engineering solutions. So what we have done is we've collected all of the online help from our website, as well as learning resources from Everfolks Learning Corner, our case studies, and also over time, our interaction with the customers that we had over the years. We have thousands of case studies that we have learned over the years. So what if you have a chatbot that has access to all these domain-specific knowledge, that it can answer the questions directly from these databases? Was our initiative. So we started this project in May of this year. And this chatbot will be coming out very soon. And I'm very looking forward to how we can better improve the experience that the geotechnical engineers can utilize this domain.
And how do you kind of look at like the workflow? Like how would you expect a geotechnical engineer to learn about it? Like learn about its limitations and how you expect it to change the way we do designs?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. I see it as an assistant tool. So it's not going to be directly giving you a right answer. We will still have to use engineering judgment because with any chatbot, you feed in a question and then it will generate the responses. But it is up to engineer to determine whether the answer is right or wrong. But the good thing about this chatbot is that it is able to give you an answer from our domain-specific knowledge first before it goes into look for another solutions. So a very simple example is if you ask a question related to geotechnical engineering with ground improvement and settlement, for instance, it will give you a guidance on how you can analyze these step by step. And it will go into a software use on how you can use, Center 3, for instance, to run these analysis. And then if you look for another information that is required from theory that is outside of geotechnical engineering, we still have the ability to do that, pulling from the fundamental theories of the physics and mathematics to combine the answers together to generate the responses that you pretty much, in theory, you have to go in, look for the books and pull out the equations, right? Write the summary. But you now have a chatbot that does it for you.
So I think a lot of our viewers might sort of have the same question I have, which is, I type in an answer, what is the quality of the answer I get back? So are there any ways to kind of mitigate against it or check at least if it's right?
Yeah, so definitely. And this is the beauty of RSInsight, is that it is able to give you a full reference on how it's generated responses. So you can actually ask any prompt, and it will give you even the page number where it's pulled the information from. So that way, you actually know where this information is coming from. At the same time, yes, because it's a probabilistic model, they call it the LLM, large language model. So a chatbot does have room for susceptibility of hallucination, meaning if your query is not so clear, or if, let's say you're trying to mislead intentionally a chatbot to answer differently, sometimes it will actually go off. I'm sure a lot of people have tried this, as a fun experiment. And to avoid that is to basically not intentionally toxify the chatbot, but also reason out, step by step. If you think that it hasn't given enough information that you're looking for, do work with a chatbot. It's sort of like when you're talking with someone as well. You want to be patient with them, and you want to, provide logics on where you want the conversation to go. So it's something very similar. Like the LLM nowadays, it's very smart to understand the context of how you ask the question. So we'll provide the answer based on the series of queries that you have asked the chatbot. And RSInsight also has the ability to read all the contextual background of your chat history, so that it is able to reason out and then get to the answer that you want.
So it actually sounds like kind of like recommendations I make when we recommend stuff for software. It's like you kind of have to be aware of your input, because it'll give you something, whether it's right or wrong.
Right.
But I think what you're saying is that because it has background knowledge specifically in, ours, what we do, case studies and so forth, the probability is it's going to give you something like probably nail on what you're looking for. So I guess it would be similar to me just Googling everything, right? I would assume, and reading all the papers myself, I would imagine.
Similar. I would say similar, faster.
Similar but faster. Yeah, I can see how that would be. Yeah, I could see how to get a new person to relearn all of the past experiences that are continuously going as we're building more features. That's trouble. So it can be very useful to have some type of tool like that.
Yeah.
So I think the final thing I want to ask you about is, okay, so what do users need to do if they want to get started?
So they first have to go to Rock Portal, sign up the account.
Sign up, please.
Yes. And you'll be given, if you are a current user of Rocscience, you're already a flexible user, which means you'll be given certain number of queries per month. But if you're a free user, you still have access to our chatbot. So you'll be able to freely try out our chatbot and see how well it performs. And we also have a feedback system as well. So in case if you don't like the answer, you can put a thumb down and leave a feedback. Or if you like the response, you can give a thumbs up. And over time, this will also improve us in the performance of the LLMs, just like how the other regular chatbots also are improving over time with their interaction with the customers.
Oh, excellent. So yeah, thanks so much for stopping by.
Yeah,
really appreciate you having here. Yeah, take care. We'll see you. I'll see you at your desk. Basically.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, great. All right, thank you, Daniel. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for your time, guys.
All right, my second guest is Sina, product manager for Rocscience's LEM software. Slide 2, slide 3. He's an adjunct professor for York University. He's also an influencer in the geotechnical space. I have no idea how you have time to do this. Thanks for joining me on this podcast.
Thank you, Daniel, for having me here. I don't know about the influencer part, but the first two ones are true. So.
You're definitely an influencer. Oh my gosh. I aspire to be that impactful in our industry. Yeah.
Thank you.
So before we get to that, so you are a tea drinker, right? So this is a special blend that my friends have taught me how to make. It's called hot water tea. I'm just kidding. Please drink it. So I actually made you an oat milk matcha latte.
Wow.
So it has matcha, a little bit of honey, a little bit of oat milk because I remember you prefer alternatives.
Yeah.
Please take a taste. Yeah, let me know how it is. Yeah. And of course, I have my Americano, of course. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so nice.
I've had matcha before.
No.
You've never had matcha?
Get the recipe.
Yes. I'm the first. I'm introducing you to matcha. Oh my gosh. I hope it's good though.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah. So thanks so much. So I think the reason we brought you on, now you've been in the industry for a very long time. That's not anything to do with your age. I'm not saying anything about your age, right? You've been impactful, I would say.
I'm almost 40. So
I'm over 30, so it's we're all getting there. But I think the main thing is from your perspective, your demographic, your friends and colleagues.
Yeah.
Do you guys use AI tools?
Oh yeah, a lot. Depends on the industry. Like I have so many friends in different industries. Even my sister-in-law is a professor at York University, and her job is AI and machine learning. She did her background. Her background was in electrical engineering, but the whole thing is about AI. So, yeah, we've been, even ourselves here, we've been investigating basically anything related to AI. Because that's the future and we want to be the pioneers as always. And we go to any direction that is related to AI to see if we can implement it in our software. Mm-hmm. And the professors that I've been talking to, the main part of their research is check AI if it works for geotechnical engineering too.
But like I know that you're quite studious. You can get into any passions, and it sounds like you have friends that also do that. But do you have, like when you meet people in conferences, I don't think everybody comes from that background. Do they also have that feeling, or is there?
Especially about the data, because the first thing that they start with is boreholes, like borehole data. And the main question that they have is, do you have any AI tool that make it faster for us or minimize the error that we have in our data? And people approach me and said, okay, we are looking to create an AI tool. Can you help us? I don't know why. Because they think that I have more time. But it's everywhere now. And this data analysis that we actually implemented in RSlog as well, it's called OCR, which is AI-based approach. It's the same thing. And I know companies, geotechnical companies, that they have their own online AI tools to do that for them. So, and it's mandatory for the members of that company to use this AI tool for the borehole data management software purposes.
So that seems like it's coming from decision makers, like they're going in that direction. But what about the people that have to use these tools day to day? How do you think they feel about?
They are educating themselves, I think, because it's like us. We had no idea since a couple of years ago what is AI, what is machine learning, because my background is in my PhD is statistics, so I should be more familiar. But still, we didn't have that background, and after it's an interesting discussion. When we had a statistic in a slide 2, one day we said, okay, it's taking too long. What should we do? Like, what are the approach? And we came across this method called a stochastic response surface method, which is a machine learning base. And we implemented it in the slide 2, 3, 4 years ago. At the time, it wasn't that hot like in geotechnical engineering. But any direction that you go and you talk about the speed, you talk about data, you come across this and you have to learn. And that's what everybody is doing. They think that, okay, it is necessary to learn it, and they are doing it now.
So what did you do to start learning?
I started like very basics, like what is machine learning, what is AI. So the first thing to investigate is machine learning is one of the several branches of AI. So I wanted to do machine learning in a slide 2. We wanted to learn how it works. So we went to textbooks and we Googled, what is this response surface method? What is like these functions and stuff? And the mathematics was like, there were a lot of equations, a lot of things. So we had to go to different directions, papers even, that they use it in different fields, because geotechnical field is one of the, I think, last ones that we are picking them because of our backgrounds. So we went to other fields and see how they used it, and we learned from them, and then we brought it here.
Okay. Like for me, I think personally, we're in an age where you can look up anything on the internet, and obviously there's right and wrong information. Yeah, would you recommend this? They just go into, I mean, there are tutorials now, I think.
Yeah. There are tutorials they can learn. But the thing is, when you were a developer and you are still developer, so you know that when you want to develop a feature in a software, you can't just Google it. You have to go to the root of the problem.
Yes.
So you have to learn all the basics to be able to develop something that any user can use. It's a general feature. So they can play with the numbers that we put there as defaults. So you have to be prepared for all of that. So if you don't know what exactly each one of those are doing, you can't develop it. So that's why for us, it's a little bit more basics and in more depth. But for general users, they can just go to like Google it. What is a stochastic response surface method, for example? And they don't have to know everything. They just need to know, as it's a saying, like garbage in, garbage out. So they should know the parameters that they are using as inputs. They should be accurate enough. That's all. So,
okay.
And how to interpret the results, they should understand the method to be able to interpret the results as well.
No. Yeah, so you're basically saying, and I do this throughout my work anyways, is like you're responsible for your input. So basically, like understand that it's a tool. But I mean, it's a very powerful tool. I've seen what slide 2 can do and stuff that. So yeah, so would you say there's anything at this point in time that the AI tools haven't been able to help you with?
Maybe we didn't try them. There are like different aspects. I know that there are PhD studies are being done now to do seepage, to connect seepage analysis to slope stability. So to use the seepage data, because there are a lot of data out there, and they can use it in the slope stability problem for landslide failures. There has been always a seepage phase there. So they are doing PhDs on that to be able to incorporate AI into it. But is it possible to bring it to a slide? I'm not sure if it's possible, because the thing is, again, this is a commercial software, and we need more data to train it. We need to be 100% most of the time. And but we are still investigating different aspects. There has been things, some features, for example, I wanted to know if AI can help, but we ended up being limited to the amount of available data. That's a main problem with geotechnical engineering. Most of the data, they are confidential. And we have synthetic data. We can reproduce synthetic data, but that's not enough because these are ideal cases. We want bad data. We want good data from the customers. Most of the models, we are not allowed to use them. Most of the data, we don't have access to them. So that's the main limitation, I think, in geotechnical engineering and in some aspects that we wanted to tackle.
So is that because if you don't train it properly,
Exactly.
not that useful?
No, it's not. AI is not a magic tool. So basically, it must be trained properly. If you train it with bad data, you don't get what you want. You may develop a tool that gives you some features and stuff, but I wouldn't trust that.
That makes sense, yeah. So do you know if companies are doing, you mentioned the online, like their online tools. So they're using their own data.
Yeah, the funny part is they were using their own data and then they compare it with this OCR feature that we have, and they found that their AI was doing something wrong.
Oof.
So it is possible. So because they were using maybe limited data that they had. So you should be aware. And as I said, if you want to have any AI tool, you should use your engineering judgment as well. So AI is not going to replace the person who has like 30 years of experience. He looks at the model and says, okay, this is going to fail. But AI may say, no, based on the data that you provide, it's not going to. It should be a combination and an adaptation process with the experience and with general knowledge of geotechnical engineering.
Yeah, I think I felt that when I got my PN stamp. Yeah. At the end of the day, it's like the AI is not stamping the drawings and stuff. I'm stamping it. Yeah, exactly. It's me.
We worked on a feature for 1 year. It's called intelligent search in slide 3. So it's an AI-based method, and it's unique to Rocscience. We spent 1 year brainstorming and developing different meetings, every week meetings, and we said, okay, what if we do that? And it's based on particle swarm optimization, which is nature-inspired optimization, which is a branch of AI. So you assume that that's going to solve the problem. But if you have an open pit, like 3 kilometers by 3 kilometers and like 2 kilometers depth, something like that, it's not going to help. Like they're going to miss something. So you have to tell the approach, okay, this is your general approach, but focus on this. Do more particles on the region that is steeper. Do more particles on the regions that have a weak layer. So you have to tell to the algorithm to do that. Otherwise, okay, they talk to each other. They go to places with lower factor of safety. It's very smart. It's amazing how it works. But still, it needs a touch. And that touch came from more than 80, 90 full 3D models that we had. And it's okay, if I apply this algorithm, that's not going to give me the correct answer. Why is that? And we digged into the algorithm and we applied that based on what we observed in that model. So you can see it's a human. Beside that, it's going to create something way bigger and way better.
So you need that experience coupled 100%. With these
100%.
Advanced tools, right? Exactly. Of course.
Like if you look at those 3D models, I can look at them and I know that these results they don't make any sense, but I'm feeding it to my algorithm. So we scrap those and say, okay, make this model better, fix it, and feed it again. And the results will be improved way better.
Now, a lot of our audience are engineers, but I do want to mention that you're also product manager.
Yeah.
You have that business side of you.
Yeah.
Do you think those tools are going to help in that regard?
100%. Like this intelligent search, for example, in slide 3, it fixed an issue that it's been there in every 3D software, limit equilibrium, not finite element, limit equilibrium software for years. Because in limit equilibrium, search is the main thing. Bishop method is Bishop. We didn't change the formulation of Bishop method or a Spencer method. But how to search for the critical factor of safety, that's the key. And for 3D models, it's a big challenge because the models are huge and the speed is another problem. So performance, accuracy, they all come to the account compared to the 2D analysis. And this solved our issue. So now we have classic search method and intelligent search. And I would go to intelligent like as a default because I know that this particle swarm, this optimization AI-based method fixed all those issues that it has been in like 3D, at least 3D limit equilibrium for years. Or response surface that I mentioned, a lot of people complain in 3D, probabilistic analysis in 3D. Each run may take a few minutes. Just imagine you want to do it 1,000 times. So now with response surface, you do it only 40 times, 30 times. Just imagine how much is the difference. It went from a few days to 2-3 hours. You know how much money it's going to save in the consulting side and business side? So definitely these tools are meant to fix the business part of the issue as well.
Right. So because time is money, right? Time is your budget. Yeah. So so you're saying from the higher ups, they would benefit from just faster decision making, whatever it is that they decide to do. Have you ever seen it sort of used to manage people? Has for AI tools?
Not really.
Or just engineering.
Like there are tools AI based because AI most of the time is dealing with big data. So in terms of like managing hours, if you have a company with different employees and managing hours, optimization is a main key in AI. And definitely it can be done in terms of managing and making more productive in terms of performance. And
That makes sense to me. So I think we've got through all of it. I'm a Q calculator. I'll hide it away. Thanks so much for joining me. Yeah, thanks for sharing your experience. Obviously, you've been in this view.
It was a great pleasure to be here. And just one thing before I say goodbye.
Sure.
There might be a resistance against it in the geotechnical industry, and there will be a lot because, again, people with high experiences, they don't trust these tools easily, and it takes some time for AI in geotechnical engineering, and we need data, so to be able to do it properly. So
I think the data is going to be a challenge, absolutely. But I think just by yourself, you're able to be a professor, you're an influencer, you're working in product manager for 2 different products. I think it's hard for me to find an excuse not to learn these things, right?
Yeah,
learn more about these things.
Exactly. It saved time for me as well. Like even ChatGPT itself helped. And there are AI tools. I didn't know a lot of them. I got a list actually. Like if you want to do, for example, this part of job, use this tool. If you want, there's a list, and it's always being updated on LinkedIn. Everybody is posting on LinkedIn about these AI tools. And actually, I go and look at them, and any of them that's going to help me. Let's say you want to do a feature in a slide too. I have to do a market research. I have to do other software research. So I use these tools to help me if there is anything out there that I'm missing, or there is any value for it, or what is the application in general. Because we have to look at the big picture. So
I think, though, if you learn one tool, I would imagine that they're not, like the interface at least, it's not that different. It's just sort of the inside of how powerful it is on each area.
And how you ask your question.
Right.
So basically, that's very important. At some point, I kept asking the question that, what are the references for this part of like a slow style? Because I always, we write papers all the time, and I was looking for some references. Whatever it came from AI, all wrong. So you should be smart in terms, and because I was looking for my references and I knew that these are not mine. It just put my name in references and I said, okay, these are yours. So, and I had to modify my question several times to get the proper answer. So being smart, what you ask is the other thing is what you are exactly looking for. You can't just throw questions there and expect something meaningful. You have to play with it. I know that some developers, they ask questions even about the codes that they write. These AI tools, they write codes for them, but they do cross-check all the time and keep asking, keep modifying, and the result was a little bit scary. They wrote the code themselves before. They got exactly the same code from AI tools as they had, but it had a lot of back and forth. So it is very strong, but you need to be smart too.
So you're saying to the viewers, just don't give up on, play with it, try it out. And it seems like it's benefiting you a lot. So it's excellent. A
lot, yeah. It's helping in every aspect. We write reports, we do research, we write papers, a lot of things. And it is very helpful.
It might be so fast that you get another job or another role added on to your list of achievements.
I'm done. No, being just to comment on, I would like to express, it's not like an influencer per se to be on LinkedIn. I would like users to know how to use our tools. There was a quote that if you are a product manager and saying that my software is the best tool, that doesn't help users. Let them use your product. And me posting things on LinkedIn and being there all the time and providing users with different models, different papers, different things, is just to show them how they can use the tool, and they just try it. And once they try it, they cannot leave it. So that's the goal. And I think that's what every product manager basically should do.
I think you bring up a good topic for maybe another podcast about social media and engineering. Sure. I think I personally have found it to be extremely valuable to be present.
All the users are there, especially with the latest LinkedIn and everything, latest developments. Everybody who is your audience is there. So you should talk to them. You should show them what your software or your product can do. And that I found it very interesting. I don't give you numbers, but it's very interesting how impressions the post get if it goes to technical. But if you try to advertise something, it's not working. So technical is the key in terms of present.
I think that fits in with the engineer's mindset. They just want things done and done well, right? So yeah, thanks again so much.
Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, I hope I didn't stop you from all of the stuff you have to do today. Take care.
Thanks so much.
Welcome our final guests. We have Angela and Riana. So Angela is a project manager for the Rocscience Rock Suite, like Dips, Rock Tunnel 3, Rock Soap 3, list goes on. By the time I finished her making her matcha latte, I feel like she's designed and built another product. And Riana, of course, I've made you actually a pour-over coffee, milk to your liking, of course.
Thank you.
And I think it goes well with all the treats that you're bringing in, which is we're pleasantly surprised. I hope that you please have a taste, and then I hope you like it. Yeah.
So, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Delicious.
Thank you. Okay, so the reason we brought you guys in here, you guys are rock stars here at the company. You guys are also sort of at the beginning of your careers. The main thing that I wanted to get to know is, are you guys using AI tools in your personal or professional work? Start with Angela? Yeah, we'll start.
Yeah, I use it all the time for coding. So I use ChatGPT and Copilot. And it helps a lot with sort of the mundane code where, I give it a prompt and it's able to give me something back. Not always usable sometimes, but that's where I guess the engineering judgment comes in. I also use it for writing. Anything that's sort of on the technical side, it gives me some ideas as to things that I didn't think about. But in general, I did find that with geotechnical content, that these AI tools typically don't do as well as compared to coding.
And are you? I guess you would do coding as well, right? You use a lot of similar things.
Yeah, I would say I use ChatGPT. It's taken a while for me to get used to even thinking about
Using it?
writing a prompt. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I would say it's a skill to figure out what to write in there, because a lot of the time it doesn't give me exactly what I need. But I use it now pretty regularly to help me with even just figuring out how to get started or structure my code.
So the thing is, you're also managing slide 2, which is geotech, a lot of geotech questions. Do you end up not Googling, but using AI tools for geotech questions as well to help you out?
I have been warned against that by
Because of, right. Oh yeah, you guys sit near each other. Yeah.
So I don't tend to use it for geotech
Okay.
questions.
I think I've had the same problem where you type in a theory question and you kind of have to check yourself, make sure it's actually what the book is or whatever what the thing is. So, that's good. I think also throughout the podcast, I think people have been saying this about you can't not use your engineering judgment, like you were mentioning before. So that's good. Yeah. So the thing I want to ask you about also is, if I'm an up and coming engineer, actually doesn't even need to be engineer now to think about it. How do I prepare myself? Do I need to learn all these AI tools when I come in? What's the process like when you guys were learning it?
I would say it's definitely helpful to learn how to use them. But I think it's more important to know how to test them.
That's a great point.
Their responses. So you need to know the underlying
The theories of the things that. Yeah. Same. What do you think as well?
I would say at the end of the day, AI is just a tool and it's only as useful as how you use it. So even things like giving a prompt, I think it's a learned skill. You kind of treat it like if you're talking to someone who has no idea of context or anything that you're talking about, explain to them really what the problem is so that even a person can understand. And I think that's how you sort of structure your prompts nicely for AI too. They don't know what you're talking about. They don't know what your problem is, and they don't know what you want to achieve at the end. So a lot of it comes down to proper communication with the tool to get a good quality answer.
So are you saying that we should be solid in our basic understanding, at least, of what the problems, the theories, and all that stuff, and then you can use that tool? Don't just jump into it, is what you're saying. Because you're saying bad input probably not going to help you, I would assume.
Yeah, I mean, something as simple as I've asked ChatGPT, hey, what's a typical friction angle that I should use for rock? And it'll say something along the lines of, oh, well, use 30 to 35 degrees. And I say, well, that sounds a little bit high. And then it's okay, then try 20 to 25. That still sounds a little high. And then it'll say, okay, try 15 to 20. And it's now it's going all the way downhill. And I feel like it's, not really giving me something that I need and it's usable.
So you need that for us, for geotech at least. We need that context.
You need you need the context. You need to know application. And I think these AI tools sometimes just give you an answer just to give you an answer based on what you asked, right?
Yeah, I think my personal experience is because I've asked geotech, I've also asked coding questions. But I think the coding side it really helped me once I knew basic data structures and algorithms, and then I used the AI tool, and then it was very helpful. I'm sure when you were going through school, you've already learned all these things, but I think I had to make myself learn that stuff first before I trusted. Because technically, you can go to ChatGPT or whatever it is, and just build a software off of copy and pasting, probably, and it might work, but I found that to be not that effective. And I feel like I'm getting the sense that you guys are probably thinking as well, you probably shouldn't do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even I was dealing with ChatGPT recently, and the answer looked great, and then I copied and pasted it in. First of all, there was there was errors in the code that I had to fix, which like if I didn't know the proper method of fixing them, there could have been a lot of ways I could have gone wrong. So I needed to know my background in like data structures in the classes I was using in order to fix those errors. And then not just that, but dealing with, okay, the program now compiles, but it's not actually giving me the exact output I want. So playing with what the response is in order to like fine tune it to exactly what you were looking for.
And I think it goes back to what you're saying about testing. I think, yeah, I found this to be a very good skill just to have. I mean, even if you're answering a customer's question, you're going to have to test it somehow or break down a big issue into like, where is it failing? So I think that's really key. Yeah. So if I'm then, so when you guys were picking up, let's say I'm guessing you guys use ChatGPT Copilot. Is that what basically, do you guys just get into it? So start typing prompts. Like, how did you guys refine your prompting skills?
Well, trial and error.
Trial and error. Yeah.
A lot of the time I will just like type something and then it'll come back and it'll give me, instead of like in code, it'll write it as if I was like doing hand calculations. Okay, don't give me that. Can you write this in C#? Can you write this in C++? And then it'll do something, but it'll be using entirely different libraries than our software is used. So I say, can you use the transformation class to do this? So kind of just like playing with it in that way to give it something that I can more easily copy and paste and then fine tune from there.
Right. Yeah. And what about you? How do you feel about, like, how did you refine your skills of making it useful for you?
I don't try to challenge it too much. Like I said, I think I majority of the time will use it for more of the mundane tasks, like for simple geometries. You know, we all kind of have to Google like, oh, is this dot product or is this cross product? And, you know, it kind of takes that outside Googling away from some of these really simple math transformations like rotations, et cetera, projections. So if I said, oh, I just want to project like A onto B, can you just give me the C# code for that? It's something that I think a lot of websites will have that kind of information, and that's probably where ChatGPT will extract that information. So in those cases, you know, probably more than 9 out of 10, it'll actually give me back a piece of code that I can immediately use and it'll be correct. But on the other hand, too, because we did talk about the subject that testing is so important, sometimes it's the other way around where I write the code and I tell it, for example, maybe I wrote a brute force method and it produces something, but can you make it better? Can you optimize it? Or can you actually write me some simple test cases for this code that I've already produced?
And how do you qualify or like check whether that new solution is good or bad?
So I think that's where the using test cases as the benchmark is so important, just in general coding as well, is that if you were to go about changing the implementation, but the results should still be consistent.
Okay, I see. So part of this is writing good unit testing or whatever testing that you're going to do.
Yeah.
So it seems like almost in the beginning, you're going to need a good set and then you're going to help you optimize.
Yeah, and unit testing is not something that's necessarily black or white because I think even writing good unit tests takes a little bit of critical thinking and some creativity as well, because a lot of what good test coverage is thinking about things like edge cases and not just that, okay, this returns true or this returns false, but what about the case where it can't return true or false because the inputs are wrong? Are there certain exceptions that you're expecting? Is there certain behavior that you're expecting out of this code too? It's not necessarily checking an answer.
So like, I think that goes into one of the points I wanted to ask about, which is basically like, what do people think that AI tools can do, but they really shouldn't? Or like there's sort of limitations of it. I think one of the points that you brought up is that you're prompting it, you're creating test cases and you're using it to check. So I kind of feel like that's one of the negative things about, I wouldn't say negative, limitations about tools that people need to be aware of, is that you can't just, like, you're still using your judgment, your experiences, and that almost is irreplaceable, I think. And I think that goes into the next question, which is the big question of the entire podcast, is it going to take my job? I think a lot of people are afraid. What do you guys think?
Please.
Please take your job. But don't tell the management that.
No, because I think that even if my role changes, there still needs to be, like we were talking about, like validation of the answers,
Right.
And making sure that it's not. I mean, even if it ends up at some point being 99% correct, you have to be prepared for that 1%, and there always needs to be someone pulling the strings of it.
So some, like, sort of final person responsible for the outcomes if you release it out, right?
Checking the outputs, making sure that they make sense and they're not just something AI has picked up from a website it's incorrect information. Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I don't think in the near future, at least, because what I think AI is it's basically a very, very intelligent 5-year-old child. It's very intelligent and it knows a lot of things, but it's lacking judgment.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have that maturity.
But do you think it's going to eventually get there?
Again, I think it depends on context, because with a general AI tool, like I was saying before, it's pretty good at math, it's pretty good at coding, it's pretty good at language, but it's very underperforming in very specific industries. I don't know why. Is it because it doesn't have that context built in, or is it because it doesn't have enough information to build its models on? I don't know.
Okay, something interesting to look into, I guess, for the researchers. Yeah, I think personally for me, it's like these AI tools, especially ChatGPT, has opened up me to like explore other passions, because it's very quickly, like you said, it will tell you sort of in point form a lot of information that you would otherwise have to look up brute force and just look through all the articles. So for example, when I do my own, I don't know, content or something, and I do script writing or something like that, creativity, like these sort of things, it kind of helps me bounce ideas, or I give it a word salad and it helps me kind of formulate some type of thing. And I personally don't think it's going to really take our jobs. I think it's going to make the job role evolve. I think it's a bad idea not to be aware of them and to use them, even if you don't use them every day. I think they're powerful, for sure. But I also agree with what you're saying and what I've been saying in the podcast is like you can't not use your judgment. Like you can't expect it to take responsibility of your actions at the end of the day. So yeah. So I think the liability, I think, is a big question. Like when you copy and paste something from AI, it's like, or AI is doing a diagnosis in the medical field. Like these are types of interesting topics that we can get into. Yeah. So basically, those are my questions. So I think thanks so much for joining me for AI tools in the geotechnical industry. I hope you guys had fun and we were able to get your insight on everything. So no problem.
Yeah.
Any concluding remarks? Anything you want to say before you go? No,
I think that was a nice take you had on AI. That you can evolve it, but our rules will evolve, but we can find a way to maybe have more room to include our creativity and passions.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, like you were joking about it can take my job, but if it can take the mundane jobs, is that a bad thing, right? So
joking.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So anyways, thanks so much again. Take care. These are your drinks. Please take them with you. Enjoy them.
Thank you so much.
And so thanks so much. And that's our last guest for the podcast. And that's a wrap for our premiere episode of RS Talks. A huge thanks to our guests for coming in and sharing their insights. Huge thank you to you for tuning in. If you like this podcast, remember to follow it on your favorite podcast platform like Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Please rate the show and share with your friends, family, pets, everybody. So until next time, can you guess what we'll dig into next? Bye.